Here is how to make a jungle base. I'm making some sci-feudal adventurers and wanted to place them in a jungle. I'm taking a ton of inspiration from iPaintSmallThings posts on Instagram for this tutorial. They make a metric buttload of basing bits for tabletop games and miniatures. Some plants. I printed plants, but you can use sticks you find outside, small fake plants for aquariums, or make some out of paper. Some grass tufts, grass flocking, and anything to create texture. Some putty or clay. Some texture paste of some variety. PVA glue mixed with sand is basically what you get when you buy official texture paste in the stores, so don't be afraid to make some yourself. A base, and a mini. I did a little mental planning before getting into this. The basic idea I want is some sort of stone and then some plants around it. And that's the entire plan. So, I got some stone bits and raised it up with a thin piece of cork. You can also sculpt some with green stuff or just skip this step. But I like to have my bases have a little height to them. Next, cover the rest of the base in your putty and blend it into the edges of the stone if you have any. This is so we can stick our plants into something and hold it in place. I used to do this by just globbing texture paste on and then sinking basing bits into it, but using putty seems to be less wasteful and holds the objects better. This is a tip I got from watching Epic Basing's videos on Instagram. I like to keep the minis that go with the base close by also to make sure they still fit on the base as I'm building. Then go around and place your plants around, going from biggest to smallest. Try to think of the rule of thirds. You want 1/3 densely covered, 1/3 lightly covered, and then 1/3 open. Next, go over the ground with your texture paste. This helps hold the big plants in and also gives something for our next steps to hold on to. Speaking of the next step, we get to go wild and add texture. I added little rocks, static grass tufts, and static grass. Go back in with the brush and try to clean off some of the plants if you got too much static grass on them. I also put on some watered down Mod Podge or PVA glue and sprinkled dry tea leaves on it for added texture. Let that completely dry and then we can get to painting. Since we made so much texture, this should be pretty easy to paint. First, I primed the whole darn base with black and then gave it a zenithal highlight when dried. A zenithal highlight is when you spray a mini with a light color from above to simulate a light source. After the zenithal, I sprayed it again from above with a transparent green ink, which allows the zenithal highlight to show through. If you don't have an airbrush, mimic a zenithal highlight by spraying above with a white spray paint or by dry brushing with white. If you want the base to be more durable and make sure all your texture sticks, add a coat of some sort of varnish. Next, if you added stone to the base, paint that gray. You can glaze on some reds and blues to the stone if you're feeling extra fancy, but it's not needed. Then, dry brush the whole base with white. Further highlight the stone with white or gray by stabbing at it at the flat parts. It's sort of like a really angry dry brush. This is what us artists call stippling. Also, with some brown paint, add some muddy areas where there isn't as much grass texture. Then get out your green and brown washes. I used a Thonian camo shade and a brown oil wash I had mixed for a mini before, but something like Agrex Earthshade works the same. Go over anything green with the green wash and anything brown with the brown wash. Then do a quick highlight of the plants. I did this with various green colors mixed with white or off-white. Plants in the real world come in a lot of different shades of green, so it's good to create some variations in the ones on your base. If you're super lazy, you could just dry brush this part and probably get a much better result than I got carefully highlighting. Since I don't have those cool, flowery grass tufts, I put an intense amount of red on the tip of my brush and made little galoops on the tips of some of the grass tufts. I thought this gave a good pop of color to the relatively monotone base. I added these cute little snails made by Pellinor on Thingiverse. He makes amazing bits for basing and kit bashing that I use all the time. They were very easy to paint. Just base coat them black, dry brush with white, and then use either a glaze or something like a contrast paint to color it. I used Skeleton Horde for the shells. I did a final pass of white highlights. This can help stuff look wet and reflecty. Lastly, paint the rim black, or if you're crazy, some other color, and you're done. It might seem like a lot, but you can make a ton of these real quick. And the painting is basically just dry brushing and using a few washes. Not too bad. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. Comment down below with any feedback or suggestions. Alright, bye-bye!